probably just a short version of all that he's done in his early career, and I will say that I'm very proud that for someone of your age to be committed as you are and without fail. And when I looked at his LinkedIn profile, multifaceted, goal-oriented, and performance-focused professional offering extensive experience in community development, strategic partnership and program development, and excellent leadership and communication skills. Those are the things I also would highlight, separate from the bio you have, that has gotten the Northeast Corridor to where it is today, and looking forward to seeing what else is to come under his leadership. Logan?
Thank you, Tanetta. Takes me back to when we were working together. Tanetta was the head of our development and marketing team. When there was no team, there was no director, there was no development, and there was no marketing. It was just Tanetta. And so just shows her capabilities. And so happy to have you do the introduction. It is a pleasure to be here with all you Rotarians and guests. And Mr. Horty, congratulations, well deserved, and thank you for your contributions to our community. I only have a few minutes because there were a lot of festivities today, so I'm going to go through it as quickly as I possibly can, and also to leave time for question and answer at the end. As mentioned, I am joined by some of my colleagues, the workforce here, and thank you guys for all that you do. So the first thing I want to do is explain our structure at the work group, because a lot of people may not understand that the work group isn't an entity within itself. The work group is just our branding for a collaborative and innovative structure that we've set up, where Reach Riverside is the managing partner and the warehouse in Kingswood are our service partners. And so we have a shared services agreement between the three organizations that really allows Reach to be the back office, the administrative arm, and it really allows the warehouse in Kingswood, most importantly, to serve the community from what we like to say cradle to cane. And Kingswood serves early learners all the way through age 12 and the entire family, and then the warehouse specifically serves ages 13 to 24. We are implementing a national model, Purpose-Built Communities. Purpose-Built has 27 network members around the country. We are one of those network members, implementing 4 pillars towards this community revitalization effort: high quality housing, cradle to career education pipeline, community wellness, and economic vitality. You'll see at the center of that picture are the neighborhood residents, and so we are resident-centered, and alongside working with those residents is our community quarterback. And in the purpose-built model, Reach Riverside would be that community quarterback. The example really started in 1995 in a little neighborhood right outside of Atlanta known as East Lake Meadows. And at the time, that neighborhood's nickname was Little Vietnam. $35 million in drug trade going through that neighborhood, extremely dangerous neighborhood. But today, you can see the statistics, and actually those statistics that you see at the bottom of this slide are all 10 years old. And so it's even better today than it was 10 years ago. But this is when you see something, you then can believe it. And so it is your fellow Rotarian, Charlie McDowell, who discovered Purpose-Built Communities and brought back the model to Wilmington. He visited with Mike Brzezicki and Rob Buccini and others, Senator Darius Brown, and brought back that model to the Riverside neighborhood. So I am known around the work group, and I think beyond now, as an acronymologist. I love creating acronyms. There is a quiz at the end of this, so I'm going to be asking you questions as well as you asking me questions. But the first acronym, REACH, Redevelopment, Education, and Community Health. So taking that purpose-built model and making it our own. So our progress to date really starts in 2013 when our now CFO was a consultant back then for Kingswood, and she discovered about 2014, 2015 that my predecessor was stealing money from the organization. She made that apparent to the board and to folks like David Sisko, who was running the Laffey McHugh Foundation, Dave Ford, who is now my colleague, Tony Allen, Gary Stockbridge, and they came together, wrapped their arms around Kingswood and said, we cannot allow the heartbeat of the community, Kingswood Community Center, to fail. As I mentioned, Charlie McDowell concurrently had visited Atlanta, Georgia, and brought back the purpose-built model. In 2016, I came on full-time as the interim executive director February 1st, 2016, after doing a very short stint on the board where I was kind of coerced to come join the board, and unbeknownst to me, they had a greater plan for my involvement. It took us about 2 years to stabilize Kingswood Community Center from 2016 to 2018, and in 2018, things really started to kick into gear. Reach Riverside became an official purpose-built community. We were gifted the building that is now known as the Warehouse from Capital One, which at the time was an appraised $3.6 million facility. And then in 2019, we started to hire some full-time staff. And so folks like Kenyatta McCurdy-Bird, who's my chief operating officer, Dave Ford, Laura Moo came a couple years later, who is now our CFO. And then we said, we gotta raise some serious dollars to do this work. And so we did a feasibility study, and our experts came back and said, we believe over the next 5 years you can raise $20 million in the state of Delaware. And everybody's eyebrows raised in that meeting and said, $10 million in Delaware? That's not happening. And our fundraising consultants doubled down and said, we actually think you can raise 25 if you work really hard. So I never met a match I didn't like. And so we just expired that 5-year period last November. And I think the most accurate number I have to date, all inclusive, everything that's happened in the Riverside neighborhood, is about $370 million of investment that's taken place. And so my new board chair, you can go back and tell him I said this, Chip Rossi called me the other day. He was like, you know, Logan, when you give these speeches, maybe you shouldn't tell them how much we raised, because we need some more money. So let me just give the caveat that money includes all of the money that's invested into the housing through low-income housing tax credits. It includes the $27 million invested at Eastside Charter for the STEM hub there. It includes all operations. It includes everything we've done at Kingswood with the new building, with the current building, with the warehouse. So it's all encompassing, and we still need more money, and we'll talk about that at a later slide. So if you go back to Chip, say, yeah, he mentioned it, but he did say you guys need more money, and you're not done. All right. So in 2021, we opened up the warehouse officially. We now have more than a third of the teenage population in Wilmington registered at the warehouse, and we serve over 200 teens per year through workforce training and paid workforce training opportunities. We have built 141 homes thus far. We have 101 currently under construction. We opened up the new Eastside Charter School STEM Hub. Shout out to Dr. Bass, the leader, the CEO of Eastside Charter School. And we've also broke ground on, like I said, 101 units. We are starting construction on another 85 units, which we just financially closed last week. And we will be closing on another phase of housing in August. And we're putting forth a 9% low-income housing tax credit application in August. So a lot of construction taking place. And last but not least, we will be constructing a new park, and that will start this year as well. Oh, and I didn't even mention, we have a $52 million facility, Kingswood Community Center, that's currently under construction, which will be complete in about a year. So here's some pictures of the warehouse. If you have not signed up for one of our tours, please do so. On our tours, you have the opportunity in just 90 minutes to come visit the warehouse, visit Kingswood Community Center, visit the STEM Hub at Eastside Charter School, visit the housing, and we wrap that all up in 90 minutes, and the pictures do not do it justice. I can just tell you that. In the left-hand corner, you'll see what we call the OGs. Those are the original teams that helped us design the warehouse, and then these are the ones who currently run the building, and we pay them year-round 15 hours a week minimum wage. This is our workforce training program, 12 weeks, 8 weeks of soft skills, 4 weeks of a career experience. This is the new Kingswood Community Center, where we just made an announcement about a month ago. We have a special partnership with Nemours Children's Health, who were our investor, and they invested an 8-figure amount into a new market tax credit deal, which yielded $9 million in cash to go towards this 52 project. In addition, they will be our lead tenant, leasing about 16,000 square feet in the building, providing pediatric services to not just the kids that come in the building, but the kids in the surrounding community. So it's a beautiful partnership. And like I said, everything from the cradle to the cane at our Early Learning Academy. And the Seniority places ownership within everyone's reach. RISE stood for Reaching and Investing in Youth for Sustainable Employment. And this is about supporting families on their goal to self-sufficiency. And our goal with Empower, believe it or not, is to put ourselves out of business. right? We do not want to be in the business of having to support people when they can provide for themselves and their families. So our goal, and that is the North Star, to make sure that the families no longer need us with that type of support. Kingswood, our Early Learning Academy, going on 4 years in a row of 100% kindergarten ready. I'm looking at Miss Adrian. Miss Adrian. You go out in the country and find me another place that's producing numbers like this within a population with the demographics that exist, I'll be surprised. And not just 100% kindergarten ready, but when you leave, the majority of our students, when they enter kindergarten, are on a first grade reading level, and the rest of them are advanced. And so we're doing our job to make sure they're prepared and handing them off to our great partner at Eastside Charter School to keep that going. All of our staff are currently being trained in Montessori, and we will be at Montessori Academy when we open up the new Kingswood next year. Our senior center, this is about building community. We've tripled our attendance over the last year at our senior center. You can see them working out at the warehouse. And we have convinced the coach to start wearing shoes inside of the gym because that's just disgusting. These are some key pictures, ribbon cutting of phase 1, and when we received a $50 million HUD grant a couple of years ago called Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant. Restore is our real estate strategy to obtain racial equity. Our goal here is to acquire 40 acres throughout the neighborhood and convert them to communal assets, like a grocery store. Speaking of grocery stores, Fed Up is our food security program. Shout out to our great partner at the Food Bank of Delaware. Thank you so much for your partnership. We have a pantry that they help stock. We have 2 community refrigerators. We have a hydroponic garden out back in a 40-foot shipping container. We have a community garden at Kingswood, and we have another big project coming up to support this as well. This is our master plan. It's about 700 units of mixed income housing here. When we say mixed income, we're talking about subsidized market rate rental and home ownership, and the entire goal by the year of 2031 is to produce 800 units of housing, 100 home ownership, and several hundred mixed income rental. We've built 141, like I said. This is what's currently under construction. This is about to begin construction. This is going to be a senior mid-rise, and that's our next phase of housing that we're going to start. And that will have 72 units, and we'll have healthcare at the bottom, taking about 16,000 square feet there. 3D version, you can see the beautiful photo of the Eastside Charter School STEM Hub that just opened up in January. Internal pictures of the warehouse, and then the new Kingswood Community Center. Shout out to Deontay Martin. If you haven't heard his story, Deontay Martin's a 24-year-old young man that grew up in Riverside. He is now the project engineer for both of those projects. $80 million, grew up in the neighborhood, and now his 1-year-old is at our Early Learning Academy at Kingswood. So my favorite photo here, we call it night and day. This is what it looks like when you drive down Bower Street, but eventually the entire community will look like this in the future. We have everything from 1 to 4 bedroom units. We are beginning our first home ownership construction project in August. It'll be 8 units of home ownership, and we're going to continue to expand that. We have garden beds, and now the residents have formed their own garden club. They've formed their own after-school program in the community room right here, and they're like, Kingswood, we got this. And we love that. That's why we call it Imani Village. Imani stands for Hope and Faith. It takes a village to raise a child. You put them together, that's Imani Village. And then this is what the units look like on the inside, and the thing they're most excited about is having a washer and dryer in their unit. So this is a $600 million project, last time we estimated. We've just crossed the 50-yard line. And tell Chip again, I said we need more money. And we've started to see incomes rise. We're starting to see a lot of good outcomes, but at the end of the day, we know we cannot raise a family on this, so we still have a lot of work to do. So what I want to go to next is our next big project, and I have to tell you, Linda Jennings and the CEB, the best partner, one of the best partners, because Aaron's here as well, but Linda, just an amazing, amazing human being, individual, and leader. And this partnership is the work group, Eastside Charter, Community Education Building, where we're saying, all right, we're doing a lot of the same work. Why are we like less than a half a mile away from each other, and duplicating efforts. Let's come together and really establish a secure cradle-to-career pipeline where no child falls through the cracks, where every single child is supported. And I think a lot of times we use the word all, like all children, and then when we hit like 75, 80%, we're like, well, we did a pretty good job. Well, what if your kid was one of that 20% that didn't make it, right? And so we're putting an emphasis around every child at the center of this. And we all know the disparities that exist from where some of us might live to where, you know, the children in Riverside might live. And so our goal with the CORE, which yet is another acronym, the Cradle to Career Oasis for Resources in Education, is to make sure that every child growing up in a low-income neighborhood has the same exact supports and resources that a child has growing up in a high-income neighborhood. The average cost to support a child in a high-income household is $2,000 per month. And it's half that in a low-income household. And so when we look at the CORE, we're wrapping everything around that child to make sure that they're successful in life. The child has the proper education, the proper career exploration, the proper community, which includes housing and access to food and career readiness. And then we have some amazing national expertise and investors that have come into this work with us. Blue Meridian Partners, the Ballmer Group, if you know Steve Ballmer, who owns the Clippers and used to run Microsoft. They are one of our funders, Purpose-Built Communities we talked about. And then the Harlem Children's Zone, who's been doing this work for decades and produces year after year 100% college acceptance. So this is about a $100 million investment. That's on top of the 600 we talked about earlier. And then I'm sure Linda could throw off some more $100 million numbers, the work that they're doing at CEB. But at the end of the day, this is the type of investment that is going to rise the tide for all of our children and our entire economy of Delaware to be successful. This is not a zero-sum game. And shout out to Madeline, who's walking out for Rodell, but Rodell's been a great partner as well. What I want you to really look at are the core coaches, and the core coaches are the ones who we call navigators or advocates, and they are side by side to make sure that every child has the support they need to be successful. So if they need access to a reading specialist, or a specialist in art, or if they need access to housing, we're there to support those children and their families. This is what we call the cradle to career pipeline. Everything from early childhood to college and career, with all of the necessary things underneath, which I just simply call the basic needs. And this is not foreign to any one of us who has raised children or are raising children. These are all the things, and this is what we see for our children. And shout out to my turtleneck that I typically wear in the winter, so our branding team put that on there. Thanks, Aaron. So Aaron and I were talking about this, and he was like, all right, these are the aspirational goals we need to hit. And socioeconomically, the upper quartile, it's 80% proficiency, right? And so if we said, all right, if the upper quartile reaches 80% proficiency throughout their education or their career and their pipeline, then that's good enough for us as well. And so that's why our aspiration, you see 80%, third grade, 8th grade, 12th grade. And then when we go to college graduation, you see the return that has on the economy, $352 million return. And then you see, yes, we still need more money to do this work. So that is it. Questions, comments, concerns? Thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much, Logan. On the subject of money, awful lot of what has sustained and grown the projects has been federal flow-through money. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen now?
Yeah, so to be honest, we have not built our operations to rely on federal funding. And so a lot of the federal funding we've received have been one-time funding, like ARPA dollars and Choice Neighborhood Implementation. But the only thing that's been in jeopardy for us specifically is $4 million in congressional directed spending that did not pass because the last federal budget didn't really go through. And so we expect to anticipate and are faithful that that $4 million be rolled over into the next budget. But other than that, we've been pretty good. Now we do have some programs and like some indirect impact, but I would say we're pretty safe. And one thing that we're really putting our eye on now is looking at opportunities to generate earned revenue, so we're not relying on philanthropy in general, not just federal funding.
My question to you though is, what is the size of the population that you're addressing with all this good work?
So the Riverside Census Tract itself has about 3,500 people in it, I believe. We started with about 300 families or 300 homes, and we're now more than doubling the size, so we will be producing 800 homes. And the average size family in those homes is 3. And so if you do the math, it's about 2,000, 2,500. And so by the time we're done, I would say there'll be about 6,000 families in our census tract that will be either directly impacted or indirectly impacted by the work. And that doesn't even include the additional families that don't live in the neighborhood that go to Eastside Charter School, or the teens and young adults that attend the warehouse. And then don't even get me started about the community education building and all the people and families they serve. Our goal is to create a model that then can be scaled and replicated throughout the state of Delaware. First the city of Wilmington, then the state of Delaware. So we can turn this state, from this great state that we all love, from being ranked 45th in the country academically to first in the country. And we believe it can start with the work that we're doing. I know I just kind of went on a tangent, but sky's the limit in terms of how many people we can impact.
That was a great segue, Logan. I remember when we walked out of the current Kingswood building, walking through our cars late at night, and you told me this vision probably 15 years ago, I guess it was.
It wasn't that long. I haven't been around that long. It feels like it though.
It feels a long time ago. And while aware of what you've been doing, seeing it presented this way, I am so close to tears. The man that you are is amazing. But what you're doing for people that you'll never touch touches me so deeply, my friend.
Thank you. And that means a lot coming from Henry, because Henry has been a mentor to mine. And so now I'm just paying it forward with his son. And I coached his son in soccer as well. So, and I'm the reason why he looks so buff, because I put him on a push-up plan back in high school. Did I not? And now you see the rest. So
I'll only add, because I have the microphone, that I've been through the warehouse and we go to Kingswood Community Center every once in a while for food packs, and I'm blown away. My husband was with me the last time we drove by, and I pointed out the warehouse and I told him about it. He went, "Wow!" And my husband, that's not wow.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Really appreciate it.
How's that
You were perfect. Yeah. So Logan, thank you so much. And just a second, again, congratulate Peter. So well deserved. And he was at your place this morning reading to kids. So congratulations. Ashley, thank you. She did her sleuthing to sneak that family in here, so that with Peter up here facing this direction. So there was a lot behind the scenes to try to surprise Peter, which is tough to do. We so greatly value our partnership with Kingswood. I'm the lucky one to be the liaison, so and I haven't given that up. I should give that up to somebody, but I'm hanging on to it because I feel like I'm part of the team there, with you guys. But we do greatly value our partnership, and it's great to have team members that Julie and Adrian and Aaron and Tanya. Thank you for being with us as well. We love it. You tell us there's a lot more work to do, so we're in it for a while. And real quick, as an expression of our appreciation, I've got a kids book here, and I don't need like I do most of our presenters. I tell them about how important early child education is, and we're not doing so well in Delaware. You guys have taught us that, so I don't need to lecture you on that. But what we're going to do is an expression of our appreciation for your being here today. This will be a good book you might want to put someplace, but we're going to put your name on here, and I think we'll do one for the other 4 team members as well. And we will contribute this book